Good evening. Brian Barrett reporting in.
Hi, Brian. We're just about to get started in a couple of moments here.
They use their own internal bidding. That's why township doesn't have to do it.
Sorry, I failed to unmute myself, but everybody's quiet now, so that's good anyway. My name is Jacob Pride. I'm chairperson of the Board of Supervisors of Smithfield Township. This is our regular business meeting. Before we begin, I'm going to ask that everybody stand and says the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag,
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Present is Supervisor Lovenheim, Supervisor Barrett via Zoom, myself, our office manager Julia Heilica, Solicitor Ron Karasak, and our engineer John Tressler, and numerous members of the public and Planning Commission. So thank you all for joining us. Obviously, I think everybody has some interest in one item or another on our agenda. It's nice to see this level of public participation. So our first order of business is approving minutes. We have February 23rd, 2021 regular meeting, the March 2nd special meeting, and the March 9th work session. Brian, I understand you have a change in the minutes from March 9th work session.
Yes, I did, Jacob. I had a simple just omission was that I said if, as opposed to that I said that I made a statement. It was if these situations, for some reason or another, didn't come through.
Okay. Well, hearing that, would you like to make a motion to approve the minutes, all three sets with those changes?
I would like that motion, certainly. Yep.
And do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Next, public comments on the agenda. So this is not necessarily comments on items on the agenda, but comments on what is included and what isn't included. Do I hear any of those, either from Zoom or any of those attending here in person?
This is not the public.
Right. Public comment will be taken on each item and then again at the end of the meeting. Julia, anything? No. Okay. Hearing none. Next is our public hearing tonight, which is on draft ordinance number 229, which is for permit denial, which speaks to enforcement of blight and holding delinquent property owners accountable for when they attempt to get permits from our zoning office. Ron, would you like to?
Sure. This matter has been talked about by the supervisors and reviewed by the planning commission back in 2018. And as it was originally drafted, the ordinance basically denied a permit to someone who was delinquent not only in real estate taxes and sewer taxes, but also garbage taxes, water bills, any of those types of obligations. The planning commission at that time was of the belief that it should only be for real estate taxes and sewer delinquencies, so the ordinance was changed to include those, and only those in Smithfield Township. Again, the ordinance as originally drafted was that anyone in Smithfield Township, if they were delinquent in these things anywhere, if they owned property in Middle Smithfield, if they owned property in Hamilton, and they were delinquent, they could be denied a permit here in Smithfield Township. Again, the feeling was that was a bit too draconian, so that you have to be behind in Smithfield Township taxes or sewer charges, et cetera, to be denied a permit. So that change was made, and also, as you say, blight. If there is a property owner that has their property in blight, and that's defined under the Act, and doesn't take any steps to correct it within 6 months of being notified that there's a problem and you need to correct this, et cetera, then the permit could be denied to that person if they were making application for something. So that being said, that's how the ordinance presently reads, and the supervisors can take action either under the Blight Act or under the public nuisance laws, or by way of a citation or other proceedings before a magisterial district judge, if in fact there has not been compliance with the ordinance itself. So it was reviewed by the Township Planning Commission, headed by the illustrious Captain Maury, who is here in the courtroom, or is here in the meeting room, and they have approved those changes, and it was then duly advertised in the newspaper, and it is ready for further discussion and or adoption as ordinance number 229.
Excellent. With that said, do I hear any public comment on that? And if you would make comment, we'd ask for your name and general area where you live, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Anyone here in person? Anyone on Zoom? Okay, hearing none. Do I hear a motion to close the public hearing on draft ordinance 229?
A motion.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the hearing is now closed. Do I hear a motion that we adopt ordinance number 229?
I'll make that motion.
By Mr. Barrett, second by Mr. Levenheim. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that will take effect within the next few days.
Let me just say, Mr. Chair, with that ordinance in effect, then we need to have some type of protocol or review or something, so that, when people come in for permits, there's some type of, I'll call it a tax and or bill background check.
Right. This will be implemented, but with a coordination from our zoning office, the tax collector, and the sewer authority. And we're already planning on changes on forms.
The manager should be in the loop too, so that
yes.
she's also on top of what's occurring.
Right. We're already looking at,
We've spoken to Ken already to figure out how we're going to implement this, and we're actually going to change the bottom of our permit, so he has a checklist, sewer authority, checklist, real estate tax collector. So we're prepared to make this change.
If you're changing forms or documents, et cetera, it might be smart to do it by way of a resolution. Doesn't have to be advertised, but
sure.
basically changing administration, do it by resolution, then no one can later say, oh, gee, that wasn't the form that I got, or whatever. Try to cut off at the path people complaining that perhaps the proper procedure was not followed.
Right. That we will do. Okay. Thank you. Next, we have plans to act on, and tonight we have DEPG and Smithfield Gateway. So, Mr. Petrus, Mr. Olmsted, if you'd like to proceed to your presentation.
Thank you very much. Very proud to be here this evening. We came to Smithfield Township 6 years ago, having quite a few projects in the Bartonsville area of Stroud Township, and a lot of similar traits between Bartonsville off of 80 and here. We like the real estate very much. Once we got into it, though, we realized that many others before us had tried to look at developing the 209 corridor, and mostly driven around traffic concerns, have been reasons why those developments did not occur. We kept at it and overcome many challenges. Site work cost soared, but we were fortunate to have worked with the TIF document, which gave us funding, with the Pocono Mountain Economic Development Authority, which provided grant dollars, ourselves, our partners, a lot of investment. We wound up buying the 120 acres, and it was a great effort. So what you see going on right now on 209 is the first part of what we call our infrastructure work that's happening, and it's a large storm drainage work that's going on, and getting ready to build, the interior roads of the project. So we had a supermarket at one time, a large market. They, of course, wound up going to the mall. But things work out sometimes for the better, because we do have some great plans for that particular piece where that market was going to go. So to share the vision of Smithfield Gateway is the associate, Mr. Olmsted, will present that.
You could maybe put it like in this corner there, and space it sort of towards the audience also, so that everyone can sort of see what you're saying or doing.
Sure.
Now, the camera guy may have to switch around, but. No, you stay there.
Okay.
I'll move over here.
Smithfield Gateway, we call it the gateway because it is the entrance off of Route 80 into the township, and we wanted to do a project that everyone would be proud of if they enter the town. So as you can see, there's a multi-phases of commercial, retail, and residential. The frontage obviously will be commercial pads. What you see there in color in the middle will be a mixed-use project, which will be coming in sometime in the near future on. And you see also on the south side what's known as the Chelsea property, which will be commercial development as well. So this is beginning, hopefully soon, of building multiple phases for this project and creating a lot of jobs, tax revenue, and and most importantly, I think, improving the worst road in northeast Pennsylvania, Route 209, where it's take your life in your hands trying to make a left turn. This is just a sneak preview of our second phase, which we'll be working on, what we call Phase 1B, which will be a project that will be very high-end and will be beneficial. But tonight we're here to talk about Phase 1A, which is going up there will be 5 pads, and if you stand at the Dairy Queen and look across, that's where our phase will be going, right there along the highway, multiple commercial buildings, all along this area right here. And we're very proud to announce this evening that we have signed a long-term lease with St. Luke's Health Systems, who will be occupying a 40,000 square foot medical office building there. And the building is just going to be sensational. It's a major kickoff of the project. This is a view of that building will be right on Route 209, pretty much just directly, you would say, across from the Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
Geographically said, yeah. And if you know what they built, they just built outstanding buildings there, and I know they're very excited about this. I know some of these St. Louis people are on the Zoom, and maybe as a public comment would want to make a comment about what they're doing here. So there's a lot of, as we explained to the Planning Commission a couple of weeks ago, there's some real timing issues with St. Luke's, and we're underway with these road work. We need to get underway with the pad work for this, and to start building this building relatively soon. With that, I'd like to turn it over to John Cote from Lanning, who has worked this corridor for many years, and is very familiar with this site. Please, John, tell everyone just what exactly is happening here.
Good evening, everyone. Just for reference, I'm going to put up an aerial that basically is the site layout that was previously approved under the preliminary land development plan. Preliminary land development plan was called Phase 1. It's the area that runs along Route 209, and what we refer to as Road A, the main road that connects 209 to 447, Road B that connects the internal Road A out to 209, as well as Road C that connects over to Music Center Drive. The application tonight is for what we refer to as Phase 1A, there at 1, which are the pads just to the west of the main entrance. And going from the preliminary approval to the final, basically involves the 2 buildings that are being proposed in that area. This is the overview. You shaded out the other areas outside of the discussion of the precise meaning for what's being proposed as the final land development. The area that we're talking about is the area between Road B, Road A, 209, and an internal circulation drive in that Phase 1A1 portion of the site. Put up a larger scale version of that, walk through the area of the site. So the building that you just referred to for St. Luke's, the medical office building, is the approximate 40,000 square foot building, representing about the central portion of the pad. It's basically parking at 200 plus parking spaces for the building, along with on the west side, the 9,000 square foot with a drive-through on the west end side of it. The internal loop road that connects Road B to Road A to Road B, part of that development, this portion of the development. And the project site itself occupies more or less, I'll call it a third of the 1A previously portion of the overall Phase 1 that you looked at time of the prior application. So for the plan proper, comments that are changing, we're going to look to address all the comments provided by the engineer to their satisfaction. So we're looking at those 3 letters received for both planning, as well as the technical review. We also received comments on the subdivision plan up. Subdivision basically a reflection of reconciling the lots you see on Phase 1A1 to both lots that are being configured. You've seen this previously, but in addition, we've also adapted the plan to accommodate any right-of-way taking from PennDOT. This plan reflects the lots associated with 1A1, which is basically the lot to the west of the main entrance. 1A-2 will refer to for future development is the lot to the east of the main entrance. And the remaining lots are future phases that Jim was referring to earlier. Phase 1B would be the lot to the west, are 1A1 and 2 okay, to the northwest of that, go on into the site. So the subdivision basically reconciles both the right-of-way lines as well as the lot lines of the land development.
I'll leave that up there for a second. This is Doug Olmsted with, Development Manager for DEPG. The purpose of the major subdivision plan is to basically consolidate all the various parcels that were purchased by Mr. DePetris over the last few years, pull them into just one singular parcel and then break them up into various lots as shown on the subdivision plan that will accommodate what we've got going forward. So, if you want to show some of the boundary lines of some of the older parcels or the existing parcels that are there, that will kind of disappear and then they'll be converted over. See this line right here?
Hold on one second. I'm
Good
gonna flip
idea.
our camera.
Careful, the wire is...
I'm gonna try and flip our camera to the general. And it's not gonna.
I'll tell you what, I'll hold it.
You sure? Okay.
You want to meet?
Okay.
Let's do it this way.
Are you okay?
Here we go. Okay. So this is the major subdivision plan. I'm gonna see if I can get this so that we don't have the shades. There's an old tract boundary that corresponds to some of the existing tax parcels, that those lines will disappear on the 93 acres that we see here, and then it'll be subdivided in order to create these new parcels to reflect the proposed development of the overall site. So that's the purpose of the subdivision plan, is to consolidate all the parcels. I think consolidate all the parcels and then break them back up based on our development plan.
And those lines are reflected in a gray image below the hot line, for anyone looking at the plan detail. So that would establish the 1A1 lot and the 1A2 lot that represent this phase 1A portion of the site. The restaurant pad is currently grayed out, and these lots are grayed out, so tonight's plan review is really about the 1A1, the lots directly fronting on 209, including the medical office and the retail.
John, please show what road improvements will take place along 1A1.
Sure. What you see here in dark gray are...
Yeah, bring it over here and then I'll...
Okay.
Sure.
You can put it behind us if you want.
It won't really help
Where
them.
do you think you'll see it visually, you tell me?
I think that's probably better.
So I'll point this out here. I'm getting to go here. Sure. So if you look at the plan as a whole, starting at Route 209, the infrastructure that will be built for this 1A1 portion of the site will be an entrance drive off of 209, coming up to the intersection of Road A with what we call the speed table, where Road A will terminate in the initial phase, and then allow Road C to be built out to Music Center Drive. The internal circulation drive that runs across and services these two units will also then tie into Road B. Road B will continue and stop at a existing high point in the road, where this will be a future expansion for when additional parcels come online. So we're allowing basically a Road A, the internal loop road, Road B, and Road A to basically allow for circulation at the site. And this goes to address two of the waivers that were requested and discussed at the Planning Commission meeting to support the site without building cul-de-sacs because we have an internal loop road that allows people to exit without the need for a turnaround or an individual cul-de-sac for a turnaround.
What's the fate of Music Center Drive egress?
So Music Center Drive will become a right in, right out in order to prevent the left turns that are currently the cause of most of the accidents there. People off of Music Center Drive will be able to turn into the site, come down Road C, and have direct access to Route 209 from the front entrance to the site for their left turn moves.
What about at the end of Music Center where it comes out onto 209?
That'll be a right in, right out.
Right in, right out. That was originally proposed to be a cul-de-sac, but because of some reaction from the people in the township, we talked to PennDOT, and PennDOT was amenable to allowing us to adjust that from a cul-de-sac to a right-in, right-out, so that there can be some movement through the existing intersection, but it cuts out the cross-traffic movement. And if somebody wants to make a cross-traffic movement, they would have to use Road C to get access to the new traffic signal, which would then provide them with the ability to go north on 209.
Sir, for the record, can I have your name, please?
Eric Levine.
That was, Stuart K.
So one of the things I'll point out is that this initial roadway network supports this initial development and is part of the overall infrastructure. In the big picture, the design that we're providing tonight also includes the Road A design up through the other side of Route 447 as part of the design package. But to the point that John Tressler was pointing out, that the initial build will stop at the speed tables that are being built at the intersection of Road A and Road B, and the intersection with our circulation drive through the site. So it allows for internal circulation to get in and out of the site, and provides it basically for the next phase to be built on from there.
For the benefit of those people that do not know what the definition of a speed table is, that in essence is a raised intersection as a traffic calming device, so that when you approach the intersection, it is raised. There would be notification to you that it is being raised, but it slows traffic down so it doesn't turn into a speedway from 209 to 447 via a shortcut.
Instead of doing individual speed humps before and after the intersection, the entire intersection is raised level. In a more calm fashion. Relative, just to expand on the waivers that were discussed, the waiver for the not providing cul-de-sacs because we provide the loop road are two of the waivers identified. Additionally, the relief relative to, we're asking for final without providing the additional final for everything else here, so that's another item in the waiver list. There is a letter that was consolidated, recommendations from the Planning Commission, provided to the board with highlighted what the new waivers are relative to sections 1006.6 with respect to the cul-de-sac, 1006.9 with respect to the cul-de-sac as well as 10084. And one other item that was pointed out was the passageway between the two buildings. We have a sidewalk that connects the two, and the sidewalk width here is now going to be revised to 6 feet, but the ordinance speaks to sidewalk width requiring a necessary width of overhang. This particular sidewalk has an overhang of cars, not oriented against, parking up against. So we're asking for the waiver again, relative to this, but the condition doesn't, I guess, really apply for the ordinance. So we're providing a position where overhang doesn't affect the actual system. And with respect to the project as a whole, both in the land development and in the subdivision, asking for final, for this portion of the site, not for the. And again, just to be clear, the action that we would be asking for tonight is with respect to a final approval for infrastructure improvements, plus the land development of the 9,000 square foot retail facility, plus the 40,000 square foot medical office building, plus the major subdivision.
I believe also needs to be a correction on your agenda where to be a major subdivision as opposed to a minor subdivision. And I will let your solicitor address how to amend the agenda to address that issue.
Well, that's a simple oversight, so we can have that.
You know, any formal action is.
It pretty much has been filed by the applicant with Mr. Cuthbert's review letter, et cetera, so change of the agenda. So at this point, we have two plans before you. It's a major subdivision plan with revisions to sort of marry the changes with what's happening in phase 1A1. And then the phase 1A1, which 40,000 square medical building and a 9,000 foot square retail and drive-through capability. So I think before you address approving the plans, you need to first make sure you agree to the salvo waivers, because if you do not approve the salvo waivers, we never even get to the plans. So let's talk about. Yeah, there were several salvo waivers that were given in this matter before.
Right.
When I say this matter, both for the subdivision and the land development. So let's talk about the subdivision for a moment. According to the letter from Mr. Cote, I believe there is one new salvo waiver request for the subdivision. And although he may have discussed it in his presentation, the class should be reviewed again so that you know exactly what it is that you are going to act upon. And I can elaborate on it. And if you have that, letter in front of you, I think it's dated March 17, if I'm not mistaken. It would be number 26 underneath the subdivision.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
I appreciate that. There's one I might want to point out. This waiver was previously identified as a 601 salvo, which had to do with the preliminary. And based on the comment letter we received from J. James, we modified it to 701, which is the same intent, but it deals with final as opposed to 601 deals with preliminary. So, basically this is directing supervisors to grant final on this without it final on the main.
Okay, just to be clear, the waiver request with respect to the subdivision, in addition to waiver requests that were duplicates of what was previously approved, the one new waiver we have tonight is on section 701, which is requesting for this to be considered as a combination preliminary and final.
Correct.
Okay.
That's relative to the subdivision. All the other waivers that are identified here were previously approved on the preliminary land development plan, or preliminary phase subdivision plan.
And with respect to the land development plan,
Before we get there, can they act on this one?
sure, I'm sorry.
Okay, so you want to begin with
Salvo waiver.
with the new one?
To ask that this be considered a preliminary and final plan for purposes of this provision in this phase.
Okay, do I hear a motion on waiver request section 701?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Levenheim, do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Barrett, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No.
You go from there. Now we're gonna move to, I think, 2 or 3 of them for the land development plan.
That is correct. So, John, if you want to go through again and explain each of the specific waivers that we are asking for action on tonight, that is in addition to the waivers that were previously approved by the township as part of the preliminary plan submission.
Sure. So identified to the technical review by St. James, section number 1006.6, accordance with the section, substreets greater in length than 1 lot depth shall be provided with a temporary turnaround standards required for cul-de-sac, person to pave the full width for the right-of-way, so 6.9, where dead-end streets shall be prohibited except as defined. Section 1 point out that is, because from a construction point of view, the roadway construction, funding and also the grades that are out there, there's an actual cutoff point here. It triggers a question of whether or not a cul-de-sac is required. But based on the plan that we're providing and what's being built, there's not a need for a turnaround relative to this road. There's built in circulation of the loop road in the actual site itself. Somebody coming down this road always has the opportunity to be able to exit through that road or coming out to make a right turn to continue out. So, back to item number 2, in the waiver list, the turnarounds provide for traffic circulation and eliminate the need for cul-de-sac.
John, I think it could be stated that the developer is willing to put up, traffic barriers in the interim so that people don't end up going that far ahead, and then instead of putting them at the end of where the construction is taking place, we would put it right at the edge of the intersection before they go back.
You have the both locations on the west end of Road B, where it terminates, on the north end where Road A terminates.
Okay, acceptable.
And the board can attach conditions to a salvo waiver, so the applicant making a proposal for those conditions, you hear your township engineer saying that's acceptable to him, so, I would act upon this waiver now unless you need more information.
Okay, well, with that, I would move that we grant, the waiver to section, 1006.6 with the condition that the developer implements, construction barriers, before the construction site.
Add to that.
1006.9. Just to keep that clear.
And are we going to, just use construction barriers, or are we gonna do barriers, final barriers as opposed to just for construction, just so I understand the nature of the motion?
John, I don't know if you want the barrier in place there or those, 3-layered, board barriers.
Why don't we defer that? I think that could be a field decision after we see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do whatever's appropriate.
Yeah.
It's gonna be temporary until you move into the next phase.
Okay.
Construction barriers for the township engineer then?
Yes, I will amend my motion to reflect that. Do I hear a second on that motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Levenheim, all in favor?
Aye.
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 So those take care of the waivers. Now
Now we got one more, 10008, correct?
oh, the other one, okay, yeah.
In a very similar fashion, 1008, no use half or partial, streets permitted based upon the limits of the Road A and B construction. Temporary turnaround allowed to allow for circulation, so it addresses, kind of work. So I would say we're waiver. Similar,
It's just the same thing, it's just a different section in the ordinance.
Okay, so no new provisions have to be added to any motion to grant that, or?
I would just say make a motion to amend your prior motion to include section 1008.4.
Okay.
And then you have all 3 sections in the one motion.
So moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now, do we need to readdress the previous waivers? Not that I want to get into them specifically, but because they were granted previously, do they need to be granted again for this hearing?
I don't see any need to grant
Okay.
them again.
I just wanted to be sure procedurally.
If they were granted once already, I mean, unless Mr. Olmsted or Mr. Cote or Mr. Truss were telling me we need to look at all those again, but as I said, if they were already granted once, I don't see the need to go through them again, because there's a number of them, and it's not
Right.
meant to.
Yeah, no, I don't,
Don't do that, but
Right.
you got like
Sure.
close to 50 salvo.
Sure, I just,
Mr. Chairman, we would, agree with the township solicitor that, 7 pages of, waivers that were approved, with great discussion at the preliminary plan stage. There's no change in what those requests reflect, so there's no reason to take it.
Okay, I just wanted to be certain that I didn't have to entertain a motion to make sure those stayed. So with that said,
And what I'll do is, the planning professionals are aware of my, penchant for forms to be signed, et cetera. There's a salvo waiver form that I will prepare. I will indicate that these salvo waivers were granted, and then also refer back to the prior salvo waiver form where all the other salvo waivers were granted, so that the new form will incorporate both, if you will.
okay.
And that being said, am I sending it to you, John, or am I saying it's a done? So, that being said, and I don't mean to steal your thunder, guys, so you tell me what you want to do, but now we have to talk about the plans for approval. And again, I have the form sheets here that I would like to review with John and see if there's any issue with respect to, the planning professionals, because this I'm going to ask be signed, as conditions for purposes of approval this evening, assuming you're in a position to do that. So I'm looking now at the subdivision, and I'm going to just go through, John, you tell me which ones may or may not apply. Planning module approval or exemption? This is the subdivision.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right. Notification from Township Sewer Authority of the ability to hook up or available capacity. Notification from Broadhead Creek Regional or other authorities' ability to hook up and available capacity. Monroe County Planning Commission review and or approval. Monroe County Conservation District review and or approval. It's not applicable for the subdivision, okay. Soil and erosion sediment plan, not applicable. Any other storm measurement plans or plot grading plans, et cetera, not applicable. PennDOT highway permit or township driveway permit, not applicable. Any other permits, for this project, for example, an NPDES or a MCTE general permit for, et cetera? Not for the subdivision. All right, now do we have compliance with conditions set forth in Township's engineer review letter of bumpity bump? That's still outstanding. That's still outstanding, so I believe that's February 13, if I'm not mistaken.
Or the 23rd, actually.
Well, there were two. I think for the land development, you did the 13, and then you did the 23rd for the land development. I think for the subdivision, the only one.
Actually, the subdivision is the 11th.
February 11th. All right, so we're good. So I'm going to put that in. All right, so Township engineer review letter of February 11th. Okay, do we need any deed of dedication for any street? Now, subdivision.
What are you going to do?
That can be part of the subdivision. I mean, makes more sense to include it as part of the subdivision.
Right. Yeah, so what we, dedication of, and I have them acceptable to the engineer, et cetera. Do we have any unification or merger deeds for any lots?
I think you got those back when you did the original subdivision.
Yeah, and the intent here is to join everything into one, and then we're gonna redo.
I think we've got the merger deeds, but we have not seen any new subdivision based on this.
No, we have not.
So,
And that, I would say would be, tied with probably the land development plan, because we've got the subdivision lots, but we may also have condo lots that fall outside of the MPC. So I don't know how you want to.
I'd like to see the lots and the right-of-way dedication with the land,
Okay.
with the subdivision plan.
well, I have right here, grant of easement.
You want lot descriptions?
Yeah.
Okay.
But provided on the second page of the subdivision, if you want to cover legal, description. With lot did you say it lot?
Legal description.
Lot description, legal description.
You know, it's prepared by a surveyor or an engineer.
All right, do we need an improvements agreement or maintenance agreement for this project, for this subdivision? No. All right, what are we doing with park recreation, open space fees?
I don't know what to say about that.
Under the waivers, John?
Yeah, it's sort of ringing a bell to me that it was, but can't find it. Let's look at that. On 25 of the waiver list of the subdivision, section 603K, according to 603K, preliminary open space, greenway, land ownership and management plans, provided that the waiver requested previously. Subdivision. The plan is for subdivision only, a company land development plan address this item. So, okay, so there's nothing there for that. All right, monuments, pins, markers will be set in the field and certified in writing by the engineer. Yes, that has to be done. Yep. Okay. Now, for waivers to be noted on the plan. Yep. Obviously, plan to be signed, plan to be notarized. Any other conditions that you can think of here with respect to this? No. So, I'm going to give this to the Olmsted for review. And he and his client, and if it looks acceptable, I'm going to ask them to sign it, and then I will ask the board to take action based upon the form, or based upon the agreement.
The developer is in agreement with the conditions applied to the recommended approval.
And then again, we'll make sure you get copies of all these.
Yep.
So, based upon the developer, and applicant agreeing to the conditions that we were just discussed, the nature subdivision plan is revised, is ready for official action. Motion second, public comment, and then official action.
Okay. Well, hearing that, do I hear a motion that the major subdivision plan, is granted?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Or, sorry, public comment. I'm not used to doing it before we second and all that. Okay. Do I hear any public comment on the subdivision portion of it?
I may.
Sure, go ahead. Please state your name and for the record.
Good evening, my name is Richard Schleimus.
Can you spell that last
I
name for me,
sure
please?
can. S as in Sam, C-H-L-A, M as in Mary, E-U-S-S. I'm a resident, a taxpayer, and I'm with the East Stroudsburg Area School District Board. I'm also joined by Larry Diamond and George Andrews. Just here to kind of give some support to the 1A, is that the section here? We're phase 1A, but also to remind the supervisors and the developers that we have a agreement, a covenant that has conditions, and as part of 1E, which is not part of the discussion tonight, but just to keep in the back of our mind as we're going through this process, that this, the plan is restricted to a maximum of 236 residential units, which shall be evenly divided between one-bedroom and two-bedroom units. And in phase 2A, it will be restricted to 190 residential units, which shall be age-restricted in accordance with the United States Housing for Older Persons Act. I'm just kind of presenting that to you just to remind you as you go through the planning process for 1B and 2A, that those are the conditions of this agreement, and we're excited to see this project underway and all the we're going together. And I'm sure it's gonna be a really good project for our community, just reminding us all of our obligations under this agreement. I'm gonna pass this over to Jacob, just so that I know it's part of the agreement, but make sure we keep that in the back of the mind there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, can you give me for the 1B and the 2A, 1B, what were the number of units, 296 or something?
So there's 235 and
236 and
236 and 190.
236 are evenly split between
One bedroom or two bedroom.
evenly split?
That was the letter, yeah. Okay.
190 are to be age restricted?
Correct.
per federal regulation.
Well, we restricted, what's the age, the minimum age? 55, or you're not there yet, or what's that stuff?
55.
I'm not trying to jam you, so don't.
No.
I believe it's 55.
I believe it is also, but there's also a certain percentage that is allowed to be not age restricted that fits into it, but I think if we just let it ride with the fact that we have to meet the federal regulations, we are in agreement with that. And we're also in agreement with the fact that we will abide by all the criteria of what I believe the Rich was referring to was the tax increment financing agreement that was agreed to by the developer, the county, the school district, and the township. And that is a recorded document. If we wanted to change that criteria, we would have to come back to all those entities with which to do that. So we are in agreement with the comments that were raised by the Mr. Schmellis from the Strasburg area school. Seamus, I'm sorry, sir. Seamus, the wrestler. The wrestler, Seamus.
Okay.
I have a question not pertaining to the subdivisions, but the road improvements, and when will they take place?
I'm sorry, you said your name was Eric Levine.
And I'd also like the record to reflect that Eric Levine is one of the individuals that we had notified by mail to the fact that if he had any comments or questions, that he should come this evening to make that move. It's expected that the road improvements will take place this year. That the highway improvements, which will convert 209 from 2 lanes to 5 lanes, with 2 lanes in each direction plus a turning lane. It's expected that we will receive the highway occupancy permit within the next 30 to 60 days, and that this will be under construction this summer. In preparation for that, we need to do these improvements for Road A, Road C, so that once the improvements are done at the intersection of Music Center Drive and 209, actually before those improvements are done, Road C and then Road A from the intersection with Road C down to 209 have to be in place, so that when they close this intersection to make those improvements, this alternative detour is available to them in order to do that.
But there will not be a light installed at that point.
The light won't go into place until the end of this year, next year, so. The way that the HOP work is phased to take place is that the 209 southbound improvements would be done first, and that would take place this year. And then next construction season, which would be 22, the northbound lane would be taken care of. And then the third phase would be the installation and turning on of the traffic signal at the intersection of 209 and Road A.
Well, for residents that no longer can take a left turn out of Music Center Drive, is there going to be any provision with PennDOT so that
when they come out of, the new feeder road there, they're not facing the same problem they would face before, which is it's very difficult to turn onto their road, especially when it's another construction.
There will be a short period of time where they'll have the same agita trying to make, cross-traffic movements now that they will have until, say, the middle of next summer when the traffic signal comes online. So you'll have that same agita that you do now trying to make cross-traffic movements. The only thing that can be said is that there will be, because of the traffic improvements that will have already been made, that there will be better opportunities as far as pulling into at least a spot that helps you to move over. But until all of the traffic is done, improvements are taken care of by the end of next season. It will be delays.
At one point, the description, one advantage, just so you're aware, obviously, Music Center Drive, the nature of Music Center Drive, you're aware it's in a sloped condition where you come out, you're looking at the hillside. But this is that Music Center Drive is less. Okay, then it will be, you'll have a better sight distance high from the road with the new intersection, people left and right coming out that left turn. It doesn't make an improvement over what Music Center Drive is there.
Yeah, but you were making a left turn against 2 lanes of
The point about the same traffic will be there, because there's no new traffic being generated until the site's full. The point that I was saying about the open, you'll have the signal and other features. Just to get across the road.
What happened to, the Dunkin' Donuts and the hotel and the gas station?
Yeah, they all.
It's all the left and right turns that go on there, the same?
The integrated.
The traffic improvements for the first phase of the improvements on 209 will stop at the Strunk Alfred Engineering Building, which is the nice stone structure that's next to Dr. Burek's office. So that's where these traffic improvements will stop or start. So the traffic improvements in 209 will start at that point, and that they will go up to the intersection with Hillside Drive, because it's just a gradual transition from 2 lanes in either direction back into 1 lane in either direction between Hillside Drive and Music Center Drive. So this is a phase 2 project that will take place a couple of years.
Sir Moore, I understand you also wanted to make a comment, or?
I understand what you're doing in this particular phase.
Okay.
I think one thing that could possibly help the situation to making left-hand turns out of there is if we look at the light at Buttermilk Falls, which at this point is an on-demand light for Buttermilk Road, Buttermilk Falls Road, and make that a light that could be sequenced so that there is a space that opens up so that you can make a left-hand turn much easier. That would help.
It would. Yep. You probably use software integration.
A question, Doug. St. Luke's Hospital now, how was that going to be accessed without a light, of going in and, of course, coming out?
Mr. Barrett, by the time that St. Luke's opens, the traffic signal will be in operation.
Okay, all right.
Okay, are there any other public comments before we proceed to the vote on the motion to grant the approval of the major subdivision? Anyone else, either in person or on Zoom? Okay, hearing none. the motion was to grant approval according to the conditional approval plan there. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Subdivision granted.
We're now on the land development plan. I'm gonna go through the same conditions with the engineer for discussion, and then see if the applicant would agree to those conditions. So we're just gonna start again, John. Some may or may not apply, but I wanna make sure it's all covered. So, first of all, planning module approval or exemption. Written certification from Smithfield County Sewer or other sewer authority as to hookup and available capacity. Written certification from Smithfield Township Sewer or other authority, ability to hook up with available capacity. All right, and same similar condition of certification at Creek Regional or other authority for the ability to hook up and or available capacity. Okay. Do we need Monroe County Planning Commission review of the project? Yes, we need Monroe County Conservation District review.
We're still waiting for final approval.
All right. I think that's to be done. I have soil erosion and sedimentation plans.
Well, that has been prepared, but we still need the approval from the county.
All right, so we're gonna say just to be done. Any other stormwater management plans, plot grading plan, drainage covenants, anything like that? No. All right, Penway.
Well, do you want to just add the DEP approval of the amendment to the MPDS permit?
Yeah, I thought we had a section
We
one.
do have
We have
other
a section
permits
on,
here,
okay.
so. All right, so we'll get to that and I'll make that change. All right, so, again, we're, first one about the other plans, et cetera, we don't have an issue with that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do we need a PennDOT highway occupancy permit or, driveway permit? That we need, right? Yes. So, the other permits, the NPDS amendment or revision,
We still need that.
okay, so that's what I'm gonna,
It's a major modification. Technical term.
all right, I'm gonna do a revision for purposes of this.
Okay.
This form, all right, now, we're gonna deal with compliance with township engineer review letters. There will be two, I think, of February 11, and then the technical review on February 23.
That is correct.
We still are gonna put both of those on?
Yes.
Those are the dates, correct, the 11th and the 23rd?
That's correct.
All right, now, deed of dedication for streets, what did we do with the last one? I don't remember now. Did we put that there, or we can put that here? We put that with the subdivision, correct?
Put that with the subdivision.
All right, how about unification, merger deeds, et cetera? We're okay with that? Grant of easements for rights of way.
That was the subdivision.
Okay. All right, improvements agreement with security acceptable to township engineer and township solicitor.
That's still outstanding.
Okay. And we'll talk about that in a moment based upon the discussion we had through the telephone. And then there'll also be a maintenance agreement required, correct? Okay. All right, now we come back to park, recreation, open space fees. You know what we did with those, John? There's a land development, I don't remember. Dealing with two lots for this space. Well, we may have waived that, so I'm happy to comment. We're dealing with two lots. Even if they
Well,
were
two buildings, one, we're dealing with one lot, one
One
lot. So, okay, so even if it's not waived, the park recreation fees for one lot.
covered under the subdivision. Okay.
Just bypass that for now then. Monuments, pins, markers,
Yeah, except that's happening with the subdivision.
that's happening, so we don't need that here.
Right.
Salvo waivers to be noted on the plan.
Yeah, the waivers for this are different than the waivers for the,
All right, so I have this noted then, under this land development phase 1A, that they're to be noted, okay. Plan to be signed, plan to be notarized. All right, John, we're gonna just bypass that item. I mean, we can put in park recreation fees for one lot, how much can they be, you know? I simply don't have
And
that.
I think it could probably
I don't
also
have
be
that
covered,
from memory.
covered under addressing the engineer's comments.
Okay, that's fine. We'll deal with it that way.
it's fine with that.
Mr. Karasak, we're in agreement with those, comments. The only thing I will state is that, at least specifically with respect to the, 537 and the sewer authority, we do have the letter transferring the 90 EDUs from the Chelsea site over to, the phase, the 1A area, so those items really have been addressed. We're not opposed to leaving them rest in this, conditional approval, but I just want the supervisors to be aware of the fact that these items have really already been addressed.
And you will see on the form that has the column of date done. So if they have been done, then all you need to do is advise the township, and the township can then mark it for that that's been done.
Right, understood.
So that being said, we'll wait till Mr. Olmsted is comfortable. Okay, so that being said, we have in hand the signed agreement for conditional approval form for the DEPG Smithfield Gateway Land Development 1A-1, approved, with conditions approved by the applicant and the applicant's planning professional. So again, the matter is ready for motion, second, public comment, and then official action.
Okay, well, I'll move that we, approve the Smithfield Gateway Land Development Plan for Phase 1A1. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, public comment, does anybody have anything new they didn't share during the previous, round of public comment?
Not to be a dead horse, but
Sure.
I'm concerned about the project proceeding without the road improvement. That's a major concern. I mean, as it is, just traveling up and down 209, Pratt Street. So why is it that the road improvements are not done before the big development happens?
I guess I can address that. Commonly, on all big developments such as this, the road improvements, progress simultaneously with the site work. You may have heard us talking about the need for financial security. The developer is going to have to post the cost of constructing those road improvements, depending upon which they are, either the ones, some of the money with PennDOT, or some of the money with the township. So in case something happened to the developer, and he couldn't fulfill his promises, we still have the money available to put in those road improvements. So that's typically how it's done, and the guarantee is in place so that they will be done.
I think the best way is that, as I brought up before, that we should do everything to make it as easy as possible during this period, so that there are gaps that you can get out and that the traffic is not continual. I go through this myself. I use Frutchy Road to 209 at least 4 times a day, and sometimes I can wait 3 or 4 or 5 minutes to get out there. So I know what you're going through, and I really think we all have to address anything we can do to make it easier. It'll never be easy until that light comes in, but up till then, we should do anything we can.
How many traffic lights are planned for the corridor?
Right now, there's just the one that is planned for this intersection. The possibility exists that a second traffic light could be basically halfway between the traffic light proposed for, at this location, plus the existing one at 447. So the possibility exists that we can get another traffic signal at that location. Initial discussions with PennDOT would allow for that. Just as we continue to fine tune the development for the rest of that stuff, that will flush itself out.
What happens to the traffic coming from the Dairy Queen turning left?
The dairy,
So the light would be part of that,
sure.
I understand, okay.
the driveway between the car wash and the Dairy Queen is part of the highway occupancy permit that was issued for that driveway previously. When this intersection goes into place, that turns into a right-in only. So then the DQ and the car wash will have to utilize this intersection to make cross-traffic movement. Same thing applies to the odd lot outlet. That, based on previous highway occupancy permits, once this is in place, it turns into a right in, right out. So between Hillside Drive and the engineering building, once those improvements are made, there will be no cross-traffic movements in that corridor except at this traffic signal. Because even Islandburger Drive will be converted to a one-way into Islandburger. So you won't be able to come out Islandburger anymore onto 209. You'll have to go to Hillside and then come out that way.
Another thing we hope for in the future, should have been now, should have been out to bid this spring, but PennDOT postponed the program, is we got a grant for $750,000 to coordinate all the lights between 80 and Bush Hill with a very, very sophisticated computer system. They would create flow all the way through. All the engineering has been done on that. It was supposed to go out to bid, and because of the diminished gas revenue taxes that PennDOT got, it was postponed. But once that is in place, that will be the best possible solution to everything we go through on 209.
And I can say that this traffic signal will already have the software in place to just seamlessly coordinate with those other changes. This traffic signal was not included in that grant because it was already known that we would account for that in the design of this traffic signal.
So if we live long enough, traffic will be flowing freely.
I was just gonna say, will it be in our life?
Yeah.
It'll coincide with the trains that are coming. Okay, well, hearing that, are there any other comments before we proceed to a vote on this?
Yeah, Brian again. I just want to say that I have a deep concern for traffic coming on and cross traffic onto 209 Seven Bridge Road. I think we've all realized how dangerous it is now. It's going to get worse with construction and everything else going on. And Doug, you do explain that as they do the improvements on that side and the east side, it might make it better because then you can sneak your tail out there a little bit further, cross over the middle lane if it's installed at that segment, and then take your chances and take a left. But I have great trepidation, and I just want that to be public. It's going to be a tough situation, and it's going to be for more than a year. So that's all I wanted to say. That's my comment, Jacob.
Okay. Yeah, I think everyone, we can't forget, the impact on traffic. But, having that said, all in favor of the motion to grant, approval of the land development plan, final land development plan in accordance with the conditional approval letter. Aye.
Aye, and I hope this leads to better things for all of us.
Brian,
Brian, what's your vote?
I'm sorry, the motion was made? I'll second the motion.
Okay, and Robert and myself just voted aye.
And I'll say aye.
Okay, all right, so the land development plan is approved. Next,
all right. Thank you. Catch your breath. If you want to give them a minute, if they want to, they're again welcome to stay for the riveting meeting.
Are we not discussing the performance security? They get to
get up.
Probably the most important piece is coming up next.
Yeah,
you're right about that. Board staff.
No. But thank you for those. Those are really nice visuals.
All right, so you recall that we had talked about the performance security, which is the security to be posted when an applicant is going to perform the job. It's not maintenance security. It's not like the road is built and it's just to maintain it for structural integrity, et cetera. This is performance security.
Correct.
I had indicated to you, and so did John, that we were concerned with the proposal to have some of the grant money that's being offered to the applicant be used for the performance security. Now, before I get further into that, I would like to have either Mr. Olmsted or, I'm not sure who may be on it, to further explain the numbers involved, and then we'll talk about what all accomplished yesterday, which, from what I'm hearing, I'm comfortable with it, but I want to see what John's feeling is too.
Ron, again, it's Brian. I that was a little garbled. You mentioned yesterday, and then you're very comfortable with something?
We had a telephone conference yesterday with the attorneys, with the applicant, with Mr. Tressler and myself, regarding the issue with respect to using the grant money as performance security for the project.
Oh, I didn't know that. And who was the attorney?
It was Attorney Wolf for the applicant. It was Attorney Laturgia also for the applicant. They're sort of separating their duties, so the two of those attorneys were online. I believe Ms. Michelle Bisbing, on behalf of the Monroe County Economic Development Authority, was online. I don't believe Mr. Leonard was, but her being online was sufficient to take that spot. Mr. Olmsted was online. Mr. Tressler was online. I think Mr. DePietris was on the line, and so was I. So we thoroughly discussed this issue, and I'm prepared to address it and explain to the board what I see occurring, and from what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing, I believe I'm comfortable. But before we get there, I'd like to just have the applicant explain to the board again what exactly the proposal is with respect to the use of the grant money as performance security.
Mr. Chairman, if you would allow, Jim would like to make some opening comments with respect to that, but then we've also got Mark Wolf, one of our solicitors, attorneys on this issue, that will also speak on our behalf on some of the more technical issues that the township, I'm sure, is very concerned about. And so we'll start off with Jim.
Okay. So what's happening on this project in regards to site work is there are two distinct contracts that are happening. One is the infrastructure work, which you see taking place, and then the other will be the pad for St. Luke's. The St. Luke's facility is being financed by a New Jersey bank, and they will be posting a letter of credit for the site work that is going to go on, take place. That will be bank financing, no different than every other project that we've done. The infrastructure improvements, the Pocono Mountain Economic Development Authority, they are going to act as a conduit for the infrastructure improvements. And we have an agreement with them, and Doug will, review numbers, and we can make that part of an agreement. But most of that money that they will hold is cash. And the grant concept for the township work is very minimal. And most of that infrastructure work will be guaranteed with cash that Mr. Leonard's firm will be holding. And they're very good, mainly because of Michelle Bisbing there, at regulating money. Right? So the PennDOT work is being done by a grant, okay? But that's a whole matter outside of the township, okay? Because PennDOT gave us a grant, but they also say, okay, we gave you the money, but we're gonna build it.
Just to clarify there, PennDOT gave us a grant, to do the work in 209, but then they said, oh, by the way, one of the conditions of that grant is that you give the money back to us, and it's a PennDOT project. So I think it's just a matter of how they deal with their budgeting in terms of taking out of one pocket and putting it into another. So when the 209 improvements are done, it's hands off as far as we're going through and getting the HOP, but as far as doing the actual work is concerned, it's like, not like, it is a PennDOT project.
We can be more than happy to review all the numbers, but frankly, I think you would probably make this a condition that we can show you exactly what we just said, that Pocono Mountain Economic Development Authority will be holding X amount of money as a cash in their bank that will act as a guarantee that the work will get done. And of course, other discussions, which I'm going to let Doug take charge of, would be the monitoring and the releasing of that money. So Doug, why don't you speak to that?
Sure. With respect to the monitoring and releasing, that was also another portion of the discussion that we had yesterday afternoon. And we see that the oversight of the construction will be taken care of by two professionals, one being John Tressler, the Boucher and James, and their inspection team. The other one being with Mid-Atlantic Engineering, who would have the ability to do specific site testing, like concrete cores to make sure that the concrete is meeting specifications, the compaction testing, and also critical stages of construction that are required by the NPDES permit, so that Mid-Atlantic has the ability to sign and seal those as-built drawings at the end of the work, so that we're in full compliance with the NPDES permit. But the township engineer would play, a major role as part of that in conjunction with Mid-Atlantic. So that would take care of those technical aspects in order to satisfy the various agencies that are providing some of the monies to cover that. And just to list who those entities are, we have the local share account. There's approximately $400,000 that is coming from the local share account, which is basically the gambling monies. The Commonwealth Financing Agency, commonly referred to as CFA, we've got about $700,000 from them. The vast majority of the money is coming from the Pennsylvania Infrastructure Bank, which is actually owned by PennDOT. And then the remaining funds that would be required in order to meet all the construction improvements would be covered by a letter of credit from DEPG.
So you're saying all of these things together form the security for the.
That is correct. So there's no empty, there's no.
This conversation that happened yesterday, you guys have any comment on it? It's like, or reach some sort of accord, I'm not sure what.
I don't know if you wanted to hear from Mark Wolf, who is our attorney on that issue, and that he might provide some additional input to what myself and what Jim has said, and then, if there's any additional comments from the town.
I'm prepared to advise the supervisors as to what was said yesterday along with John. So, if you want to hear from Mr. Wolf first or just review items, you can do that, or I can.
Before we,
Up to the chairman.
well, okay, but before we hear from Mr. Wolf, Doug, can I just clarify?
Sure.
I know you said $400K from LSA, $700K from the Commonwealth Finance Authority, and what is the balance between PIB and LOC?
Approximately $3.5 million from the Pennsylvania Infrastructure Bank, and the balance. To be honest with you, I don't remember exactly what that number is, but the balance would come from a letter of credit from the bank.
From Mr. Wolf's letter telling you how much is in what's coming in with the. You're welcome to keep that if you need to.
Thank you.
Okay, we did share that with the board, but you have it handy there.
Thank you. Okay, now feel free to ask Mr. Wolf before we hear from.
Mark, you're on, sir.
Okay, good evening. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can, and we have your letter in front of us, Mark, if that helps.
All right, well, let me just go over this from a big picture point of view. The economic development agencies, Michelle Bisbee, Chuck Leonard, have borrowed money through PIB, and they have that money in their bank account. Other funds are not in their bank account, but they have the right to access the funds based upon the grants that have been made to the Economic Development Agency. So the grantee under these grants is actually one or more of the Economic Development Agency. And the way the money would flow is, in order to give DEPG access to the money, the Economic Development Agencies enter into a contract with DEPG, and it specifies the procedures that have to be followed in order to draw the money. So the concern is, of course, from the township point of view, what happens if something happens to DEPG and it can't complete the township required improvements? So what we proposed in the call yesterday was that we would create documentation that would give the township the right to step into the shoes of DEPG under its contracts with the economic development agencies, and that way the township could access the funding source.
Amen. Thank you.
And then in the development agreement, it would be set forth that these procedures would be available to the township. Of course, the township is not obligated to exercise its right to step into DEPG's shoes, but it would have that option based upon the circumstances that would then be present. So the township would have access to the money if it chooses to exercise that right.
Excellent.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much. Ron?
All right, so the concern was that I expressed, and I think John expressed too, which was sort of said here, that, how, can we get to this grant money? Can we use it if we need it? Or is the grant people, are they going to say, no, this was just to be used by DEPG, it can't be used by anyone else, etc. The phone call made clear yesterday that the grant funding follows a protocol where the funding source gives the money to the economic development agencies. Here would be the Monroe County Economic Development Authority, who then uses the money to complete the project. The money does not go to Smithfield directly. It does not go to DEPG. It goes to the Economic Development Authority. They hold the money and they decide where it goes. So the discussion yesterday was, so if DEP defaults, or doesn't complete the project, the township can just step in and use that money if it wants to. Well, I in all due respect, I said, okay, that's fine, but I'd like to have that confirmed in writing. So they're willing to confirm in writing that the documents are revised or changed for review by John and I to make sure that if for some reason DEPG Smithfield defaults on the improvements agreement, that we will be able to then go to the Monroe County Development Authority and say, all right, give us the money to complete this project. So they said they'll put that all in writing, it will be confirmed in writing. If that's the case, then I'm comfortable with proceeding on that basis. Because
and Ron, let me say, it's Brian again, and that's exactly what I was concerned about, and because in the beginning it was laid out there for us, but there were no guarantees, and we really didn't know what the procedures were with the 4 different entities. But I guess the way you're explaining it, and Mark has explained it, it makes sense, and I feel a hell of a lot more comfortable.
I do too, and that's what I said. I'm comfortable with the fact that this will be put in writing for review by John. From an engineering point of view, he can look at it, and he from a legal point of view, and that's no different than any other agreement where you have a developer or an applicant give you things in writing, et cetera, as long as we can get to the money.
Right.
No different than if it's a letter of credit, you've got to call in the letter of credit, you prepare documents, you send them to the bank looks at everything, then gives you the money.
Right.
Basically, I was told this process would pretty much be the same.
Right.
If there would be a breach of the improvements agreement, the township would prepare a breach notice.
Mm-hmm.
They would deliver that to the Monroe County Economic Development Authority. The authority would review that, and assuming it's in order, then give the township whatever it may need in order to
Right.
complete.
Okay, so there's a procedure that's established, it will be established, and in writing. So it would be a straightforward move on our part. God forbid.
It'd be part of the developer's agreement, Brian.
Right, and at that
Right.
point, so we need official action tonight. This will be included in that agreement
Right.
that we can approve.
It will be because the letter, the agreement form that's signed, and it's not meant to be like loaded, it just says the
Right.
agreement will meet the approval of myself and Mr.
Okay,
Trustman.
so we're already,
the language is in
right,
there.
so this is acceptable to
Yeah.
us already at this point. Is there anything?
It doesn't meet my approval, and it doesn't meet that condition.
The
So is there-
only other thing I wanted to mention is that, the one nice thing about these contracts that we have with Northeast Site Contractors is that these site improvements are also, based on prevailing wages, which is something that you typically do not get from a private developer
Right.
when he's doing a construction project. John, do you have anything
Well,
to weigh in?
unless there's federal funds or state funds, Doug, the prevailing wage would apply probably then. And that's a problem that we've always had as an institution, a municipality. So we go out and we have the site improvements and we engineer it out, and then all of a sudden we realize that even we have to pay prevailing wage if we had to step in and take it to conclusion.
Ryan, it was with you and thought that I made that comment.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
Any comments for you about what we talked about yesterday, or this?
No, my concern primarily was similar to what was just discussed. The only remaining item, and again, it's one of the conditions of approval, is that we make sure that those funds, which we now know we have access to, are in fact sufficient to cover the cost of the improvement.
so they have to meet the existing salvo ordinance.
Right. They have not.
And putting into that prevailing wage, the Davis-Bacon Act.
Right.
Now, be careful, Brian, there's a difference between Davis-Bacon and prevailing wages. They're two totally separate categories. We're prevailing wages. Davis-Bacon is federal, and there are no federal dollars involved here. It's state, so it's prevailing wages.
Okay, so I didn't know that. I thought there were some federal bucks. Too bad. Okay, thanks, Doug. That makes a lot of sense.
done yet is the applicant has to prepare a cost and quantity estimate.
Sure.
You know, as to how much these are gonna cost, these
Right.
improvements are gonna cost, that's typical. That goes to John to review, he may agree with it, he may not agree with it, he may wanna make revisions. But on that letter, you
Right.
can see there that, I don't know, what, 5 million or something is gonna be.
Right, about 5.6
So John
million.
wants to make sure that these improvements are gonna be fitting within there, that they're not gonna come in with a quantity and cost estimate of, say, 7 million, and we're saying, wait a minute, we're short
Right.
here, we don't have enough money even with the grants, et cetera, so.
Right.
And that would be the improvements agreement, obviously, I can't begin to draft that without a cost and quantity estimate.
Right.
And we've got the, I just received at the end of the day, a spreadsheet that was provided by, Boucher and James, for the format to provide the line items plus the unit cost and, what the overall cost would be to come into an agreement with what his contract is. We've got it under the one contract, which is the site work, the patchwork. We receive those tomorrow morning from the contractor. So both of those spreadsheets could be sent off to John for his review.
Excellent. So that should be
Thank you.
in the coming days, and then we'll have that agreement hammered out.
Yeah, the attorneys could be working on the legal language while, could be working on the dollars.
Excellent.
So that's what we talked about, I'm okay with that.
All right. Well, hearing that, is there anything else we have to discuss in regard to Gateway, or can we?
You have under new business, the indemnification agreement, is that what we're talking about here now, is that how that works?
That was the term I borrowed from the agenda, if that's,
No, it's okay, well, in my thoughts, an indemnification agreement is, like they do in other municipalities, where they want to begin the site work, but they have not yet signed a performance agreement, or improvements agreement, or, has posted performance security. They want to start to do the earth moving, et cetera, no vertical construction, just that. And normally then I prepare an indemnification agreement where the applicant signs with the township or borough saying, we were going to start even though we don't have this done yet. We will insure you in case anyone gets hurt, someone gets killed in the course of the project or gets hurt during the work. We'll make sure that we have insurance for you, and make sure that the township is the certificate holder on that insurance. And that we will post with you X number of dollars, but pay the cost of the township engineer reviews. I just did one at the Borough of Wind Gap for a warehouse project, and the posting was like $10,000 to cover the amount. So now they are beginning to do their site work, even though they have not yet entered into a performance security or entered into an improvement agreement. So this might be a little different. I mean, they're doing site work already, so I'm not quite sure.
Well, it's supposed to be simultaneous. I only borrowed the term because I remembered you saying that at the last meeting, but with all that said, it sounds like everything will be.
If we need to enter into one of those, we're not, opposed to doing that. Well, we ironed out.
And I'm not trying to,
No, I understand.
You guys are already starting to move dirt, and we don't have any performance security, we don't have an improvements agreement. Shouldn't we have some type of?
No, we're not opposed to that, so you said.
All right, because what I think I want to do is prepare one and send it over to Mark, if you can hear me, Mark, to look at, so that, while we're getting all this other stuff done, at least we're protected, the township's protected by way of injury at the site, or who knows what.
Agree.
Understood. Just send it my way and we'll look at it as quickly as possible.
Don't say that, because then I have to look at something quickly as possible. And
Scott, you has one other comment to raise.
On the Zoom audience is Jennifer Peters. Jennifer, are you there? Jennifer is with St. Luke's. I see her name there, and she may want to say hello if she can hear me. Okay. Jennifer? Okay.
She may have stepped away.
She may have stepped away. But anyway, they're very enthused about what's taking place here and very appreciative, as we are. So, and when these things go, Once we start and people realize that this project is underway, just like happened in Bartonville, it mushrooms, and it will be the beginning. It will be the beginning, and not just for our gateway, but for other developments and properties along the corridor.
Absolutely.
We're very enthused.
Well, then, Jacob, Jacob, are we ready to move it, or what?
Well, I don't know if there's any
Gonna let you.
movement needed on this particular issue, just.
No, it sounds like we have a plan of action, in motion, and I thank you for, being here tonight.
And we also want to thank the members of the East Stroudsburg School Area, School District that were also on the Zoom call and for their interest in the project. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Safe travel. Thank you.
And now on to page 2.
We're not even done with page 1.
You're only halfway done.
Okay, thank you.
We're talking Missy Salvo. I'll see you again.
Thank you, you also.
Mr. Chairman, I suggest when we get to new business, which is Mitch Boyer.
I had my first shot this past Saturday.
All right, I'm all done.
It's already last,
Sure.
sitting here.
Yeah.
The rest of it is the
Yeah, my wife's
internal
done.
things for
I'll
us.
be finished on April 17th.
I had the 2-shot one. My wife went to get the Johnson one. She had 1-shot deal.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. You're back on.
All right, thank you. Okay, out of deference for, those that are giving their time freely here today, in person and on Zoom, I'm going to take up items, H and K, and that's in no way a sponsorship of any corporation, but we have to bring those up first. K is accepting the resignation of Planning Commission member Kurt Wickman. Kurt submitted his resignation letter on March 17th to Planning Commission Chair Scott Amori. He's taking another position where he has to relocate. I think we'll miss him, but we wish him all the best and all of that, but we do need a vote on accepting his resignation, so I'll ask for a motion.
I'll motion that we accept it.
Okay, motion by Mr. Barrett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Robert Levenheim. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, next, we have a very accomplished member of our community, Mr. Mitch Boyer here, who submitted his letter of interest according to our advertisements. Mitch, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to us?
Sure. I think I've met most of you when I sat in at the Planning Commission meeting.
And he wasn't scared away. I wasn't scared away, even though you told me I had to buy drinks.
So, I guess the important thing is, probably had a chance to look at some of the background and Robert had asked me for. I've lived in the area over 30 years. I live it here, and would like to be a little bit more involved with what's going on in the township. I'm a Cherokee Indian, and a chemical engineer. I've had a lot of experience in the chemical industry, and in 2014, I actually retired. 2015, after 45 years of doing business in the chemical industry. I have a lot of family, which keeps me busy, but I've got a little spare time to devote to the Planning Commission. I actually have 5 children, 12 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren.
Wow.
So,
Well,
that's
would one of your grandchildren like to be on the Planning Commission? We have another vacancy.
Or at least his grandchildren can play with your child.
Well, thank you for, submitting your letter of interest. You clearly have a lot of, enthusiasm about this, which is incredible to see, and you've had a lot of experience with a lot of different things, and with new zoning, a lot of different things might be coming here. So that's experience, I think, will be welcome. Do I hear a motion that we appoint Mr. Boyer to the vacancy that expires on January 3rd, 2024?
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations. Looking forward to meeting you.
Welcome aboard. I'm glad to be a part of the team.
Actually, I might meet you maybe tomorrow because this meeting's going to be around.
Tomorrow's out, I'm
Have a safe journey down.
Yeah.
time with my family.
Right. I'm going to get you a letter formalizing your appointment in the next couple of days that you'll see when you get back. And you'll be all set for the April meeting. I want to say that's April 15th?
Going to be a little later?
April 8th is the second Thursday.
April 8th.
We already chatted with Scott, so.
Great. Thank you.
Excellent.
Appreciate the favorable consideration highlight.
Thank you
for volunteering.
Have a safe trip.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, next, we're on to B. We're going considering approving the first disbursement for River's Edge Bike Park. This was an estimate that we had been sent in October, and once we decided after our budget and then earlier on in, I want to say February, we were interested in doing this work and that Middle Smithfield would go in on the second half of this with us, that they generated the invoice for the first half, which will be our half, and that's in the amount of $4,625. Julia, is there anything that you want to?
If my memory serves me, you actually approved this on the January 26th meeting.
Okay.
Excuse me, not in February.
Okay.
We approved up to, I think, 10,000.
I do believe it was up to
yeah.
11. It was on top of this dirt sculpt invoice. The board also discussed pursuing a bike repair station for the
Right, the air pump.
Yeah.
Yes.
That we looked. Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Not I.
Any public comment on Zoom? It's no longer a crowd.
The school board left us. No, I'd make a motion that we go ahead and pay it.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. The next item is considering awarding the bid for Wellness Park Phase 2. I understand that is delayed somewhat, and Julia, you have more on that?
That is correct. Originally, when we placed this, we were up to award this on this day due to delays to VCNR approval. It will actually be going out to bid soon. This will be planned for the bid award at the 7th meeting.
Is phase 2 the riparian buffer and going along the shore? Is that what phase 2 is?
Yeah, phase 2 will be the place pod number 1, which is the gazebo and all of the plants, the ground, the path that goes past the fishing pier, and place pod number 2 at the northern end of the street. And
Julia, that we're going to have to advertise that, or have we?
Barry Isaac is handling all of the advertisements, so this is taken care of. It was either in the paper this week or is going in next week. But Barry Isaac is handling all of that for us.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And as a reminder, this specific bid is part of that pre-bid meeting on the 2nd. We still don't have a confirmed time for that. I'm waiting on an email from Brian Smith, not you, Brian.
Right.
Okay. Makes sense. So April 27th we'll be doing that then. Next is considering awarding the ground fertilization bid. Julia, I understand you and Lois did some research.
We did. At the last meeting, Brian, you had brought up that a possible something had happened with CCS, a few years back. Lois did look back into the minutes and found that in 2013, there was, an email from a resident. No action from the board was taken, and it just looks like the resident saw the fertilization pellets, on the field and got concerned. Back in 2013, the board was paying for weed control as well, so it's possible that that's what they saw. But now we only do ground fertilization, so the pellets are smaller, and there's less of them because we're not doing the weed control as well.
Okay, and I guess what I was really just saying by that is that I knew they worked for us. I didn't know it was that long ago, but I knew Loie had some notes on it, so I wanted to check in with her.
Their bid is somewhat lower than Strausser's.
Yeah.
Information on how they would execute, or any thoughts on this? No.
We received the two bids. They're, I believe, $700 lower than Strausser.
Right.
It's about $700 lower. It's one of those situations where, and again, what can I say? It's under the threshold for even going out to bid. So we would have, most likely, when I say we, it would be Robert and Jacob would have the option of going either way.
Right.
Okay. Well, I'm going to move in that case that we award the bid to DCS in the amount of $5,595.
Okay. I'm going to have to recuse myself, of course, because Strausser's Nature Helper, that's my son-in-law.
Well, it's with reluctance that I would go away from Strausser, just because they've done a lot of work for the township and usually been very good. I don't know this other firm at all. I don't know what to say, really. I mean, if you want to go in that direction, I will. We don't have to bid it, but so low. But it's really a question of, who's going to be there for us on other issues. I don't know.
But it's not other issues. It's fertilization. I don't think this is a conscience call. I think from a fiscal standpoint, it is what it is, and that's why I suggest we go with DCI.
Well, I'll second that then.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And let the record reflect that Supervisor Barrett recused himself to avoid any conflict. So.
Yep. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Next is the purchase of new playground equipment for waterfront parks. This is what I had brought up at our last work session. So the quotes were revised to better fit our site. Like I said, one group told us that they had no interest because our budget was too low. Right. So there were three options, but essentially only two of the options would actually fit our playground setup. We can't actually hold 6 swings in the spot that it is, and having talked with Ed, because our own crew would be installing the new features and removing the old ones, the option is still the Up and Away Quick Ship that I emailed to everybody for the 9th, that has the slides, the climbing activities, and the sensory and dramatic play, so it's ADA accessible. That also includes the four swings, 2 that are toddler or bucket swings, and then 2 that are traditional swings for adults or older teens.
Seems like a very good price.
Right. And then it also includes the post-mounted hand sanitizer station, which in light of everything going on is, a pretty good deal. They're also offering the free shipping and a factory rebate too. And then it also includes the mulching necessary for the use area for everything included, and that one.
Jacob, that mulch is that could be an expensive item. They're going to include that.
Well, it's included, but at our cost. But still, the total is $20,169.56, and that includes 100 cubic yards delivered, and that is to have the 12 inches of mulching for the current code plus compacted.
Yeah.
So does anybody have any questions?
How do you feel, Jacob? You did most of the legwork on this.
Well, and just to confirm for the audience,
Yeah.
we did go through 10 bids for all of this, so this isn't something that we need to look through
Correct.
and get calls and telephone bids and price quotes. We are covered through.
Right. CoStar. The solicitor verified that because of the CoStar's designation on this contract, the bidding was already completed, so we don't have to follow the typical bidding process. At
$20,000, right?
Right. This company was incredibly responsive. It's BYO Recreation, based in St. Augustine, Florida. They actually do a lot of work for schools in particular, and also other not-for-profit or municipal entities. And they were really responsive. I've been on the phone for probably a collective of at least a couple of hours with Mr. Darrell Arvin, who has gone out of his way to give us those discounts and rebates, including the free shipping, which is really.
They said it's an extremely good price.
Right. That the cost they're giving us the playground is half off. It normally would cost $28,512, and it's down to $14,256 because it's their marquee promotional item.
Wait, Jacob, back up.
Yeah, I saw that the half price deal, and again, it looked like quality stuff, and as Robert said, it's a damn good price. So. And again, I just defer to you only because you did a hell of a lot of work on that, a lot of conversation going back and forth. So I'm going to follow you on this.
Okay.
So if you make the motion, I'll second it.
Okay. Well, I'll move that we approve proposal 99922 from BYO Recreation in the CoStar's contract. And then,
So what proposal and how much is, you said it's proposal 99922?
Right.
And how much is that for?
For $20,169.56.
And that's the motion. I'll second that motion.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Barrett. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. And Ed thinks that, this could actually be in, fairly quickly and, close to the time we have our cleanup, so we could actually, haul away our junk easier, which is nice.
Amen. Yeah.
And get money for it, too. Okay, next is F, which is approving the collective bargaining agreement with Teamsters Local 773. That is our roads and maintenance department. Brian, do you want to give a quick overview?
I'm sorry, who, Ron or me?
You. I was just wondering if you wanted to.
Oh yeah. I'm saying that at the bottom line, it's a good contract. It's a good contract for everybody involved, and it's for 4 years. And I don't know where, Robert, you're going to be in 4, but it's not going to be one of the things on my mind in 4 years. But I liked it, and I'll motion that we go with it.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I want to thank our labor solicitor, Tom Heimbach, for his work on it. We went through several sessions with him and the union, and I think that a lot of improvements were made, and I think it's going to be exciting. We're going to have a happy road crew as we go into a, what's going to be a big paving year. So thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Next is ratify the re-advertising of the 2021 ground maintenance bid notice. Julia, I don't know if you want to give a quick 30-second on that.
The reason you're seeing this, there was a mistake in our original advertisement. We had our pre-bid meeting after the bids were due. So we just needed to fix that.
Okay. And Lois re-advertised them on, today and then on next Tuesday. So I'll move that we ratify the re-advertisement of that bid notice.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next. I. Consider $500 for the appraisal of 274 Marshalls Creek Road for our DCED. The next acronym evades me. Application.
Trails Recreation Program application. So the reason that you are seeing this, the DCED Greenway GCRP application that we're applying for, which is due May 31st of this year, requires a 15% match. After we met with Christine DeFray of DCNR, she suggested that we shift our Marshall Falls application from DCNR to DCED because we can use the purchase of the Marshall Falls property as a 15% match for that. The one caveat to that is that we need an appraisal stating the land value of that property. The Fisher and Fischel appraisal that we use to purchase the property is we do not have that land value within that appraisal. So after speaking with Gregory Walker, who is the DCED guy in charge of this application, he said we needed to go back to Fisher and Fisher to get that letter. After speaking with Joe Fisher, it'll cost us $500 to get that. So if you guys...
And this is on the land only, Julia? Is that it?
Yeah.
Yep.
We get that and it'll set the 15% that we can match and base our application on for the DCED application.
Got it. Okay.
I think it's a very good price.
Okay, well,
I don't know. For the land, I think we had it once or twice, but I think Julia explained to me earlier that as far as going to DCED and the GTRP application, they want a fresh appraisal of the land only. So.
Yeah, the earlier appraisal that was done in 2018 is too old, and because it was not the appraisal that we used to purchase, it's invalid.
Well, considering that it's costing $4,000 for appraisal of the sports property, I think this is a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Done. Jesus. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, I'll make the motion. We approve $500. I don't know about 4,000.
Okay, motion by Mr. Barrett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Levenheim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next is J, considering the superheat proposal in the amount of $3,800 for the spring and fall annual maintenance on the geothermal heating system. I understand this is a routine thing, and that last year they did not complete all 4 visits due to COVID, so they didn't bill us for those.
So this is spring and fall that we did contract with. And the 38, I think it's money well spent. We all know and lived through the disaster when everything broke down and we got flooded. So hopefully these guys get in there. And so far they've been, as far as my experience anyway, they've been very reliable and professional.
Excellent. Okay, with that said, well, now Robert just left the room, but I suppose I'll move that we approve that.
I'll second that move, Jacob.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I'll just wait a moment so Robert can cast his vote. Robert, we just, moved and seconded to approve the, superheat proposal.
You want a second, or you want?
Brian, seconded. How do you cast your vote?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Carries 3-0. Next, is L, which is, considering resolution number 468, the DCNR grant, then 469, another DCNR grant. So I'm gonna, and 471, but I'm gonna let Julia talk about those since she had some updates since she emailed us last, week.
Excuse me for 1 second, Mr. Chair, the superheat, that's all?
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, resolution 468, the DCNR Wellness Place Park Pod. I had emailed the board last week, suggesting that we go with the decreased habitat. We haven't landed on an actual, grant application for this, if you will, and we also haven't really decided on how much money we're gonna shoot for. We have to have this application done and hopefully submitted by April 7th, so we're beginning to cut it a little bit close for Mary's liking. At this point, I've bounced back and forth with Mary and Brian Smith a little bit, and we're beginning to think that it might be a great opportunity because of how close that is to the water, to take this opportunity and use this play pod as a way to show our residents and any visitors information about the local fauna of the area, because we've got the flora in pod 1, so then we use this ducks in the area because we have a population of those. So then we could go for signage and a nice seating area in that pod. Maybe go with, because we're going with ADA accessibility and different scents, and being able to touch things, perhaps going with a small statue of a turtle, or statue of a fish to accompany every sign as we go around the way. With the other improvements that we're going in, because DCNR is a one-to-one match, I don't know if the board wants to pursue $25,000 to make this a $50,000 application, if we want to try and back it down and maybe only go for 15. I do realize that this is a bit of a larger application, but again, there's no guarantee that we're going to get this. In the event that we do get both of these, jumping ahead to River's Edge at this point, that is a $25,000 match. So if we do get both of them, we can always, sticking with the idea that the board is about annually contributing $30,000 a year to park improvements, we can focus on putting $30,000 into River's Edge for 2022, and then push the Wellness Park Play Pod off 1 year, and plan to do that for 2023 to keep the $1,000 contribution into the park system. So this is very much up to you. I just need an answer tonight on what you want to pursue so we can get these grants in.
Julia, 468, what's the name of that grant? This is the one that's due beginning of April. That one,
this is the DCNR Wellness Park for Play Pod number 2.
I know, but what's the grant called? In other words, I know the one due at the end of May is Forests and Trails or something like that. What do they call this?
Oh, like what we would, so we're going after like a planning grant for the River's Edge one. So I believe this one technically falls under, give me 1 second, let me get my folder.
What's that, Brian?
Hello?
Brian? Yeah,
Yep.
we can hear you.
Okay.
You know what it is?
Yeah, I just need to, I believe we're going after recreation.
Okay, all right, I'm just curious. It was one I didn't know about, so that's good enough for me.
So we're in a situation here, Julia, maybe that if we go one way, it costs us as much as $25,000.
I mean, we can, if we want to, we can dress to the nines with this play pot. You know, we could pave this thing and put in slider swings and, sterling silver, statues if we wanted to, and we could put this application in for up to $100,000. It's up to the board what you guys want to do and what sort of financial cap you want to give me.
Well, let's just say that we're not going to spend $100,000.
I would hope not. I think that's a little bit ridiculous. I'm thinking maximum of 50. Because of our other financial obligations, I would like to personally stay somewhere between 30 and 50. I don't know if that'll be possible.
So between 15 and 25 is the match?
Yes.
Because that has to be cash. We don't have anything that's gonna...
If we do decide to do things as other contributions like time and labor, we could do that. The issue that we've hit at this point is because we're within about 2 weeks to the time that we need to submit with all of the other work that would need to be done. Brian and Mary have already recommended that we don't do that because they don't have time to write the grant for a non-cash match.
Right.
Got it.
And I think, if I remember correctly, we use a DCED grant as part of the match for a DCNR grant between the fish pond and phase 2, right? So maybe there's something we could do there, but I'm okay with this. I think it's a good plan.
Wow, that's a lot of money there, Robert. And
well, we don't know if we have to spend it because we don't know if we'll get the grants. And we're talking about, I don't know.
I mean, like 15 as the range.
It's as the match, because it's not service in-kind services don't apply. I think. Jesus, we have that. We have Resolution 469 with the master plan, number one, and maybe we work on the master plan, get that in place, and then
we don't know what we're going to get. Probably.
No, we don't. We don't. If we get anything, but if we do get, we're committing to a lot of money. And
well, we could also split it over a couple of years because we can always take one of these grants and put the other on extension and do it in the next budget year.
That is part of it. If you guys are willing to commit, like you did this year, to putting $30,000 into the parks every year, we're putting $30,000 into waterfront feasibly with the park improvements this year. If we do get both of these grants, we can plan to put $30,000 into River's Edge with the master site plan for 2022, and then we can put another $30,000 into the parks for 2023. 15 of that would go towards the DCNR play pod, and then you'd have another 15 to spend on feasibly whatever you want.
I think that's reasonable.
Okay, so we're kind of acting like Smithfield Gateway now. We're going to phase it, huh?
Yeah, right.
All right, I like it.
Phase 1Z.
That's the worst case scenario.
What is that? No, I think you said it best, Robert. Phase, I don't know. We're into the Greek alphabet already, like phase beta 22. But anyway.
Looking at then, it sounds like my colleagues are okay with a phased approach then to doing the play pod the next year and River's Edge site plan next year. Right? I just want to understand what I am also agreeing to.
Amen. We got to get that master plan for River's Edge. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah. Master plan comes first.
Okay.
Because that would set the record or that would set the stage for future development.
Right.
So master plan would happen in 2022.
Okay.
Got it.
And the next DCNR would happen in 2023. Which
right.
was, while we're doing that one, would allow us to apply for additional additional grants with the master for 2020.
Right, because they give us, what is it, 3 years?
Both now, but we put it in the budget.
Yeah,
right, because they give us 3 years, right, to act on.
Yeah, we do have time, and this could all be useless. We might get neither of them. We might only get one, and this could all be useless. Right. But we can hope for the best.
Right. Okay. All right, but that doesn't change the resolution. These are just the applications. So that just gives you what you have to tell
That's
Brian
correct.
and Mary.
The first resolution, 468, is acknowledgement from the Board of Supervisors saying that you are applying for this grant.
Okay.
Then 469 DCNR, the River's Edge Bike Park Master Site Plan, is also acknowledgement that you are applying for it.
Okay.
And an amendment to that I just received from Jordan earlier this afternoon, was the commitment letter of the $25,000 match. So if we're good, you can also give the okay for Jacob as chair to sign that, and we can get that moving forward and off to her tomorrow.
Okay, should I make a resolution to accept 468 application for DCNR Grant Wellness Park Play Pod?
That would be step one, yes.
Okay, I'm making that
You'll make that motion then, Robert, that we approve it?
I make that motion. Do we have a?
Yeah, do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Then Julia, do you want us to vote on 469 for River's Edge, or do you want to vote on?
Nope, you're good. You've given me direction for the match for the play pod, so we're good.
Okay.
And then it's a motion on that, and then on signing the grant commitment letter as well.
Okay. And which one are we committing?
The grant commitment letter will be under the River's Edge Bike Park for the $25,000.
We have to make that motion, though.
After the resolution.
Correct. Okay, well, I move that we adopt Resolution 469, the acknowledgement of the application for the River's Edge Bike Park Master Site Plan.
A second.
Second by Mr. Levenheim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, and then separately,
Motion to sign the grant commitment letter for $25,000 in cash. Match.
all right, do I hear a motion?
If we get it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Levenheim. I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I said aye, yeah.
Aye. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Next is Resolution 470. That is the PMRS amendment according to the agreement that we signed, or that we just agreed to with the Teamsters. So that just enters into our obligation, the quarterly contributions going forward after the July 1st date that Tom Heimbach ensured was in our CBA.
Yeah. And that's pretty much what we did agree to, Jacob, right? Anyway, so we need a resolution to do it, so.
Right.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we do the amendment to the non-uniform pension plan administered by the PA Municipal Retirement System.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I guess that actually covers the next item since that's just what we have, 470. So O is not to be considered. And then P, our final item under new business tonight is resolution number 471, the Redevelopment Authority Demolition Grant application.
So additionally, we discussed going after Redevelopment Authority demolition funds to remove the outbuildings on 274 Marshall Street Road. In order to apply for that grant, we also need a resolution. That is what is before you now.
No, I'm sorry there. I lost that a little bit. We have resolution 471, the demolition grant application. Is there an additional grant application?
Yeah. Do you remember redevelopment authority grant that I discussed with you guys, that I was meeting on site on Wednesday at 10 o'clock with them. I believe it was March 10th.
Yep.
So we got approval from them to proceed from our letter of intent to the actual application. And as part of the application, they also need a resolution. So this is the resolution, in order for us to apply to that grant as well. This grant has no match.
Okay, so the resolution will be 471?
Right.
Okay, yeah, all right.
All right, you're making a motion, Brian?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'll make the motion.
Yeah, I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and there's resolution 471. So next, is bills to be paid. We have, 3 sets of bills, to ratify and or approve from, March 2nd, which was for a total of $98,891.77. March 9th payment of bills, $22,350.57. And then today's, bill pack for a total of $85,000, or $85,597.37, for a grand total of all of March's bills of $206,839.71.
Okay.
So that includes all of our, I believe, 2 payments for the, health and welfare fund, state workers insurance, legal bills,
Salaries, the whole,
salaries. Oh, that's right. That includes 2 payrolls on there, propane, and a number of other larger expenses, including an insurance. Well, actually, 2 large insurance payments also.
Got it. Yep. And Jacob, you're familiar. You looked them over.
I did.
And we'll send. And then I'll make a motion that we pay. We ratify paying the bills of 3/2/221, and ratify paying the 3/9/221 bill, and approve the bills for payment of $77,000, a total of $85,597.37.
Okay, I'll second Brian's motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, public comment. There's no one left on Zoom, so Ron, John, do you have any items that should be?
I do actually have one more thing.
You have one more, Julia?
Yes,
Okay.
I am so sorry to keep you here a little bit longer.
I know.
I meet with Pocono Forest and Water tomorrow
We just
for a
finished.
pre-app meeting.
All right.
If I get approval, the only, idea that we got for the Pocono Forest and Water grant was the glider swing, the ADA compliant glider swing for, the trail along the, waterfront park. If they give me the okay, or am I okay to pursue that, it would be about a $4,000 match for us. And that is due on the 30th of April. Feasibly, I can prepare the application, come to you guys for final approval, and go. So
And the option is the glider, and what's the other option, Julia?
That's the only one that I heard from you guys, was the ADA accessible glider swing. If you guys
I'm not in favor of the glider. I'm sorry. It's too tempting. It's I just as much as I like it, I think vandalism will have a definite effect on it. I don't know.
Perhaps.
I think maybe we could do something else. Look for something else.
It's something that is accessible to people with disabilities. So
Yeah.
that's why I came to that. But
Oh no, you did, and it's fine. But I'm just saying, it's begging for.
I think though we should sign something to apply for this grant and try for it.
Yeah. When's it due, Julia? The grant?
It's due on April 30th, but I meet with them tomorrow
Okay.
at 2 o'clock to discuss our great idea.
So the deadline is to get you by something by perhaps noon or 1 o'clock.
Yeah, can we say, I need ideas by noon? And I can, like, literally send me anything you have, I will pitch any ideas I have.
I have a letter from, LVNH where they suggested all kinds of play equipment. This is from their rehabilitation, group. And
Yeah, you shared that with us, so, yeah.
Did I share it with you?
Yeah, you sent it to everybody.
Well, it's, I mean, we could put together a collection of some little things in that. None of them look very expensive, but again, I think that's why I chose the glider. $6,000 to $7,000 is about what we should try for this, because it's a very low, amount of money that they have, that Janet Sweeney has to give away anyway. So maybe we might get some.
Right.
Okay.
Like I spoke about, because I remember in the LVHN spreadsheet they gave us with their 6 ideas, the one that jumped out at me was definitely like the water tables and sprinklers and stuff.
Yeah, that's a great thing.
We still need to, I checked those out, you can't secure them though.
Oh, okay.
And like Brian spoke to the concept of someone picking up the thing and stealing it and vandalism, we gotta be able to bolt this stuff down.
Right.
But if you guys can send me ideas, I do.
By noon tomorrow, okay.
Well, how about, Julie, if you're meeting tomorrow, take the, LVHN, memo, if you will, with you, and maybe you could go over it item by item and see if there's, how they feel. And I don't think you're going to be there for the finalization. They're not going to turn around and take a vote and make any awards at that time. But at least you'll have a conversation again continued with them. And maybe we could look to see that there's something more, something else, I guess.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
so we'll all know, big brainstorm before noon tomorrow. That said, Ron, John, do you have anything?
No, I don't think so.
I think everybody would like to go home and go to sleep.
Okay, do any of my colleagues, have anything that they want to mention?
I'd like to make a motion.
Oh, okay, well, so both of them, move to adjourn. I'll second that motion.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Passes 3-0, 9:27. We are adjourned.
Do I have to sign these or just you?
Well, yeah, everybody's got to sign all
I'm going to be away the next couple of days.
Ryan, would you be able to swing by the township office tomorrow to sign resolutions?